Hello, we are from Group 3, and please introduce myself. My name is Mark Otto.
Hello, I am Puspa Juliana.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Mark.
Hello, my name is Ruben Rafael Zamzami.
My name is Made Sandia Sani, but you can call me Made or Sani.
Hello, I'm Mariska.
I'm going to be talking about the nature of families. So, for starters, what is a family? According to Lamana and Riedman, families are relationships in which people live together with commitment, form an economic unit, and care for any young and consider the group critical to their identity. And so, for many years, this question has generated a heated debate. Although some analysts use a functionalist or conservative approach, typically state that any definition of the family must emphasize tradition and stability, while others argue that any useful definition of families must take into account. But traditionally, family has been defined as a group of people who are related to one another by blood, marriage, or adoption, who live together and bear and raise children. And also, did you know that less than 1/4, or 21% of US families, are made up of married couples with children under the age of 18? And heterosexual cohabitation has become an increasingly popular alternative to marriage for unemployed males. And also, the estimated US rate of maltreatment for children between the ages of 0 and 17 is 10 per 1,000 children in the same age category. So, for the changing family structure and patterns, the basis of the traditional family structure is kinship, a social network of people based on common ancestry, marriage, or adoption. Kinship is very important in the pre-industrial societies because it serves as an efficient means of producing and distributing goods and food. And in many pre-industrial societies, the primary kinship unit is the extended family, where a family unit composed of relatives in addition to parents and children, all of whom live in the same household or in close proximity. Whereas nuclear family is a family unit composed of one or two parents and their dependent children that lives apart from other relatives. So the question remains, are US families in decline? Will the family as a social institution disappear in the future? Families are not necessarily in decline, so to speak, but some new patterns have emerged. These patterns are recognized, such as, compared with previous decades, fewer people are currently married. In 2010 alone, slightly less than half, or 49% of US households contain a married couple. By contrast, in the 1970s, about 71% of households contain a married couple. Marriage rates have also declined across all income categories and across all levels of society. However, rates have declined the most among lower income individuals. And so the next topic is the changing views on marriage and families. It begs the question that, are our views relatively consistent regarding marriage and families over time? The answer to this question is both yes and no, because the term marriage refers to a legally recognized approvement or arrangement between two individuals that carries certain rights and obligations and usually involves sexual activity. In the United States, the only legal form of marriage is monogamy, a marriage between one man and one woman.
Greater diversity in intimate relationship and families has come about because of dramatic increases in singlehood, postponing marriage, cohabitation and domestic partnership, dual honor marriage, and one-parent families. The first is singlehood. Some people choose singlehood over marriage because it means greater freedom from commitments to another person. Others choose it because of more career opportunities, especially for women, the availability of sexual partners without marriage, and the belief that single lifestyle is full of excitement. The second is postponing marriage. So why are more people postponing first marriage or choosing not to marry at all? Sociologists suggest four key factors. There are economic uncertainty, women's increasing participation in the labor force, and the case in the United States, sexual relationship outside marriage is more socially acceptable, and contraception having become more effective, and the rising of divorce rates. The third is cohabitation and domestic partnership. Cohabitation is two adults living together in a sexual relationship without being legally married, while domestic partnership are household partnership in which an unmarried couple lives together in a committed, sexually intimate relationship and is granted the same rights and benefits. The significant increase in cohabitation and domestic partnership contributes to the percentage of people who are counted as single or postponing marriage. And then dual honor marriage. Dual honor marriage is the marriage in which both spouses are in the labor force. In many families in 2010s, men and women tend to share more equally in household and childcare responsibilities. If this condition continue to grow, dual honor couples will continue to work out mutually satisfying, where they can share the responsibilities of breadwinning and family care without one partner bearing more of the burden than the other. And last is one-parent families. According to Kendall, living in two-parent family does not guarantee children a happy childhood. The problem is actually driven by the socio-economic status of the family. So children who grow up in one-parent families are at risk for problems such as poor academic achievement, dropping out of school, drug and alcohol abuse, teen pregnancy, early marriage, and divorce. However, other studies reach different conclusions. There are also the benefits such as children can be more responsible and independent at the earlier age.
Child-related family issues. Child-related issues in a family are not only related to a child. Most people view the child-related issues in a family are only problems which occur due to the child's doings. However, starting from an unborn child, the issues are present. In general, child-related issues are classified into four main categories: reproductive freedom, contraception and abortion, infertility and new reproductive technologies, adoptions and teen pregnancies, and unmarried motherhood. To understand these issues, we need to start from the beginning of the problem, which is the problem of reproductive freedom, contraception, and abortion. Reproductive freedom has been issued since early 1800s. Back in 1900s, politicals tried to prohibit certain classifications of people to reproduce their hairs, such as poets, criminals, and feeble-minded. This issue was heavily confronted due to reproductive freedom. In early 1800s, condoms and diaphragms were being used as contraceptive devices to prevent pregnancies. In 1850s, the government limited the access to such devices in order to prevent a drop-off birth rate in the US. In the 1800s, abortions were done by individuals which had no medical training experiences. Therefore, abortions were set to be illegal in most states by the 1900s. At that time, controlling birth was hard until in 1960, birth control pills were socialized. The pill became so famous among married women to prevent unintentional pregnancies. The pill was so helpful since 90% of women's fertile years, they tried to avoid pregnancies. In 98% of all women who have ever had sexual intercourse have used at least one or more contraceptive methods. The pill was helping the unintentional pregnancies due to malfunction of the contraceptive devices. In the end, abortion could be a solution and a problem for families at the same time. Most abortions were considered a problem when there is a family member against it or the religion-related restrictions. If you pay attention carefully, we were talking about fertile couples. Now we want to talk about the infertility and new reproductive technologies. By the definition itself, infertility is described as an inability to conceive after a year of unprotected sexual relations. About 40% of infertility in a family is caused by the women, another 40% is caused by the men, and the other 20% is quite hard to be determined. This is why 50% of infertile couples seek treatment with the help of technologies. These technologies can be conventional and advanced. Most advanced technologies are expensive and not being successful in the first try. The cost of advanced reproductive technologies is charged about $10,000 to $15,000 each. It is expensive since couples need to try multiple times to succeed. When infertile family needs a child and gave up to reproductive technologies assistant, adoptions can be a solution. Adoption is a legal process through which the rights and duties of parenting are transferred from a child's biological and/or legal parents to new legal parents. The problem came when a family has to find a suitable child and vice versa. Since the child have their own needs and the parents have their own expectations, matching this up can be difficult. However, for families with infertility issues, adoptions can be a solution. Therefore, we came to the last problem, which is teen pregnancies and unmarried motherhood. At the macro level of teen pregnancies, there are four main important issues, which are many sexually active teenagers do not use contraceptive devices. Teenagers, especially from low-income families, subordinate racial or certain ethnic groups are being unable to utilize contraception devices properly. Also, some teenage males believe that females are responsible for contraception. Lastly, some teenagers view pregnancies as a sign of male prowess or a way to gain adult status. At the macro level of teen pregnancies, there are also several issues. Lack of education and employment, which discourage young people's thoughts of upward mobility. Advertisement, films, TV programs, magazines, musics, or any other information and entertainment medias often shows sexually active individuals without showing the possible consequences afterward. Teen pregnancies are often seen as problematic since teenage mothers often lack in the skills of parenting. Furthermore, they are more likely to drop out from schools and have no social supports other than close family members or close relatives. For teenage mother, it is also found that most cases are lacking of family support and financial support from the father. Therefore, teenage pregnancies are most likely to be seen as a problem than a solution of adulthood process.
Divorce and remarriage. Ending a marriage produces stress not only on spouses but on other family members as well. If divorce is such a stressful process, why there is 33.4% people in US divorce in their 15th anniversary? Nowadays, most divorces are granted on the ground of irreconcilable differences that there is no which partner that can be blamed. Many people think that divorce is such a negative thing, but actually it is the legal process of dissolving marriage, and also allows former spouses to remarry if they choose it. And here is the reason why divorce is a cure. The first one, too young when they get married, a short acquaintanceship before marriage, disapproval of the marriage by relatives and friends, and it is the most reason why, limited economic resources and low wages, or they wanna continue their educations, unhappy marriage, and the prison of children. The next, we have domestic violence, or as we know in Indonesia as KDRT. Domestic violence is one of the reasons to bring spouse to divorce, and the most victims of domestic violence are women and children. Here we have two types of domestic violence, which are child maltreatment and intimate partner violence. Child maltreatment, child abuse and neglect is the physical or mental injury, sexual abuse, or negligent treatment of a child under the age of 18 by a person who is responsible for the child's welfare. Most of us, when we hear the words child abuse, think in terms of physical injury or sexual abuse, but the most frequent form of child maltreatment is the child neglect. Each year, there is 3 million reports of children that being abused or neglected. Intimate partner violence, or also known as spouse abuse. Intimate partner violence includes physical violence, sexual violence, threats of physical or sexual violence, and emotional abuse. We have 4.8 million women experience intimate partner-related physical assaults and rapes. Men are the victims of about 2.9 million intimate partner related to physical assaults. Therefore, many women kill their spouses because they have been physically and sexually abused over a long period of time and see themselves as hopeless, trapped in a dangerous relationship. Many victims of spouse abuse fear that if they try to leave the abusive spouse, they will endanger themselves and their children. And the social response of intimate partner violence are people do not want to report it because they do not want to become involved in what they see as private matter. But now, many people aware and the law of domestic violence is also be changing.
And explanation. First one is functional perspective. Functional perspective emphasizes the family on maintaining stability of society and the well-being of individual. Emil Durkheim believed that marriage is a miniature replica of society because both mental and more fusion of physical distinct individual. Emil Durkheim also believed that the vision of labor contributed to greater efficiency in marriage. Talcott Person used Durkheim work as basis for another model of a family. Contemporary functionalists believe that division of labor make it possible for a family to fulfill a number of functions that no other social institution in high-income nation can perform as efficiently and effectively, like regulating sexual behavior and reproduction, socializing and educating children, providing economic and psychological support, providing social status. Conflict and feminist perspective. Most conflict and feminist analysts believe that functionalist view on family problem are idealized and inadequate. They're operating together for the benefit of all members. Family is a source of inequality and conflict over values. Conflict theories compare family to factory worker. Women are dominated by men, just like worker dominated by manager. That women do a lot of hard work, producing the next generation, providing labor force with food, clothes, and etc. Symbolist interactionist perspective. Some symbolic interactionists view the family communication process as integral to understanding the diverse role that family members play. How do symbolic interactionists explain problem in family? According to sociologist Jesse Bernard in 1982, women and men experience marriage differently. For example, if the wife is happy about the marriage, that doesn't mean the husband have the same feeling, and vice versa.
Okay, guys. In this part, we will discuss about the example of our problem in Indonesia. So, in this time, I take the one example of the problem of the family in Indonesia, which is violence against children in Indonesia. Okay, for problem description, the facts of child abuse show that out of our 1,026 child respondents, we can say as this elementary school, middle school, high school, who were successfully made and gave their confession. It was recorded. 91% of child respondents admitted that they still receive acts of violence in the family. 87.6% of child respondents admitted to experiencing violence in the school environment, and 17.9% of child respondents who have experienced form of violence in society. And there were several types of violence against children based on their environment, which is family environment, educational school environment, community environment, and digital media or social media environment. Why all of this problem can appear in Indonesia? So we will discuss the analysis in the next slide. The reason of the violence against children, there is some reason why this problem can appear in Indonesia. The first one is there are still many mindset and behavior that make children the object and property of adult. Example, parents, teachers, government, etc. that are against the principle of child protection. Number 2 is the norm of child protection and children rights are not widely understood and practiced. The next reason is early marriage and not ready emotionally and economically. So the parents is not yet good or not yet enough to get to marry, and they to push themselves to have in bahasa is rumah tangga. And the last one is parents do not have the concept of parenting. Maybe because the number 3, the number 4 reason can appear. And the impact of this violence against children, such as the first one is the existence of trauma that will affect the child physical and psychological. And the impact of number 1 can make the other impact, such as children will become more aggressive and tend to act using violence because their mentality is not good by the impact of violence. And the last one is the child becomes indifferent or don't care about the feeling, anyone feeling, the other feeling or himself or herself feeling, and has the potential to reduce feeling of empathy, so they can not have empathy.
Bye.
And goodbye. Bye.
Thank you.